We live in a valley in Southern Ontario, you know, less than 2 hours from Toronto, major center, one of the biggest centers, you know, in Canada anyway. And we can't get friggin' decent internet here. So I'm in my classroom. I'm hooked onto my hub, and you know, down below I have Starlink. We have 3 different internet systems here. Three. And at any given time, none of them work. So I appreciate your patience. Thank you for joining in. We've got some cool stuff tonight. I've got a good demo dog here if we want to do some leash walking demos. We're so close to launching our Great Stroll leash walking program, which is going to be phenomenal. We're going to keep building on it, you know, month after month, because it's one of the things I'm passionate about is just walking dogs nicely on leash. I posted a video today of the little dog I have here for school, with me at the dealership getting my winter tires put on. And he wasn't on a, you know, snap to heel. He wasn't looking up at me with his neck kinked, but he was keeping a loose leash. He was enjoying himself. And we had his own special leash, which I use for puppies. I walk puppies on this 10 foot, it's 10 feet. And Prince is here and his ears just perked up. Oh, are we working? Anyway, so we're gonna talk about that. And if you are at all interested, watching for me. There we go. How's that? Can you hear me now? This mic must be dead. Happens. I'm going to do it this way, then I can see the green light in the. Oh, I can't. Anyway. You know what? Nobody's perfect. Thanks. Is the sound in now? Can you hear the sound? If it's out, no, it looks like it's still going. I'm going to clip it on right here on my shirt. That way it's not flopping around. It's kind of like that. That's a little trick I learned from. It looks like it doesn't look too bad. Oh, hey, Margaret, good to see you. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me? Yep, just double tap on the screen if you can hear me. Good grief, technical difficulties. Not only did I get frozen out on the first launch, then the microphone quit, and that's probably why it quit, because it kicked me out of the feed. Anyhow, thank you if you can hear me. So to reiterate, if you want to know, we're going to talk a lot about leash walking, because right now we're coming into winter season. That's the time when people are least likely to walk their dogs. I'm telling you, I walk on the street a lot, and you can almost measure it. It was first snowfall. You don't see people on the street anymore. If you really want to get your dog working nice on leash, go out now, because nobody else is out there. But here where we are, we've had an ice storm for 2 days, so I've been wearing cleats. Yeah. And so we're going to talk about leash walking, but I do want you to put your questions in the comments below at Tartan/Doodles, how to stop resource guarding. We're going to get to that. But just let me tell you, first of all, go and type quiz in the comments if you're interested in learning more about the dynamics between you and your dog on leash. There's a little short quiz there. It takes about 5 minutes. It's fun to hear. Can you hear me now? Tartan Doodle said he can't hear me. Still can't hear me. Hopefully you can hear me. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to just type a note to my assistant. There we go. Okay. Anyway. All right. Yep. Okay. On a loop leash. Can you give me an idea what a loop leash is? Okay. You can hear me good. So type quiz if you want to know more about the dynamics of you and your dog walking on leash. If you were here last week and you want to get access to lesson number 2 on walking on leash, which is the next phase, we got a little mini course put together that gives you just a little bit of a sample of what's in the more comprehensive course. Just type free in the comments. You'll also get access if you weren't here last week and you want to get access to lesson number 1. Type free. Lesson 1 and 2 are there this week. Just let me grab a slip lead. Okay. There is a variety of different kinds of slip leads. Let's get right into that. We're going to come back to the question, and also on the final note, if you really want to dive right into the leash walking program and get started right away, we are launching that officially on the 17th of December, just the week before Christmas, and also at the early bird price. $20 off the regular price. The regular price after Christmas will be $97, but before Christmas, jump on board now. It's only going to be $77. Packed full of value. That includes lifetime access to the program, but also monthly live one-on-one community chats with me, so where you can bring your questions, and membership in a private Facebook group where you can post videos, you can ask questions, and I'll be in and out there, not necessarily live, but I'll certainly respond to questions, and that's exclusive to the people that are in the leash walking course. So I've got some cool dogs here tonight. I've got Prince and I've got a little guest dog. But so Johnny Danger was asking about what do I think about slip leads. I like slip leads. I like other things better than slip leads, but what I like a slip lead for is if you're in a hurry and you need to get something on the dog right away, you have, this is the one I use. This is from, and if you're in the US, it's from Regal Connections. And it has a little lock here that I can, the problem with some slip leads is they don't lock, so they open up, and if the dog puts his head down, he's gonna basically fall off his head. This has a little lock on it, so you can set it to the length of your dog's, the size of your dog's head. You want to have about 1.5 inches of slack, so when the dog moves, it tightens up. Now, one of the things about slip leads versus a proper choke collar is the message isn't quite as clear. So dogs can still pull, and what happens usually with a slip is it'll slide down their neck. But if you, for my old dog, well, my old dog, for my dogs that are trained, like Prince, once they get walking properly, I love a slip lead, because you just boom, you just have to put it over their head. When you're in a hurry, slip it over their head. You'll notice many veterinarian clinics, when you go in there and they need to get your dog with them and away from you, is they'll just put a slip lead on them. Very, very lightweight. And, it tightens around the dog's neck and the dog just follows them. So in spite of the vets being anti-choke collar, some of them, not all of them, they all use slip leads. They put these on, they go, come on, let's go, puppy. And the puppy goes along, because puppies know they need to breathe, and they know when they move towards that movement. See how that comes off? That's what I like about a slip lead, all in one slip lead. This particular lead is also called a transition lead. Transitionally, so what this does is this can go over the dogs. It's a modified version of the head halty thing that goes around their nose. This fits on that. This makes two, so it's got a little S ring here that is out of the way if you don't want it, but if you need it in a hurry, so you've got a reactive dog, you just pull this out. Now you've got two circles. There's a video on my YouTube channel about this. You've got two circles. This one's over the dog's head. This one comes up and over their neck. And then you can tighten it up, and then you can control the dog's head. So it's there'll be a session on this in the leash course in detail, on how to put it on, how to take it off, how to manage it, because you can do a lot of damage with these if you don't use them right. Let's face it, it's around the dog's nose, most sensitive part of their body, or one of the most sensitive parts. You start to yank on that and haul the dog around on this, it's going to cause some discomfort and possibly some damage. So that's a long answer to your short question about what do I think of slip leads. I think they're fine with the right dog and with the right use, just like every other tool. But a slip lead is really excellent for puppies, to teach puppies how to turn that pressure off with a real gentle, soft feeling on their neck, because this stuff is really soft. There's different types of slip leads. The vets use a lightweight, flat nylon. This is cotton, but they use flat nylon, and I don't like flat nylon because it cuts. But on a puppy, you're just gentle with it, it's fine. As long as it slips, it's called a slip lead for a reason. And that's not to slip out of your hand. That's so that when it tightens up on the dog's, let's see, that thing's in the way. When it tightens up on the dog's neck, because the dog has, quote, moved away from you, when the dog comes back to you, ding, 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 it loosens off. See, yeah, good dog. And then you can mark that. That's how it works. Okay. So again, if you're just joining in, and you were here last week, we do have lesson 2 in the mini version, or just a little sneak peek on what's going on with the course. You can get that by typing free in the comments. And if you are looking for some more information on you and your dog when you're walking, type quiz. And if you want to go directly to our leash walking course called The Great Stroll, which we're launching next Wednesday officially, we're building a wait list now. Type leash in the comments and you'll be on the early bird list for the discounted rate. So the reason the phone just moved is because I have Storm here. Let's see how Storm likes the slip lead. Right, Storm? Okay, here we go. Storm is a little 8-month-old guy. Come on, Storm. Over here. So I'm going to show you this slip lead and how it works. Now, Storm's never had this leash on his neck. Here's Storm. He's a leash chewer. That's a boy. There you go. So you got to watch. So here we go. So there's like these little pointy ears up. I like these because these are designed to go over his nose. But this, so, I don't know if you can come in, if you can see, I'm going to come right about here. Storm, sit. Hey, good boy. You can see I'm going to tighten this up just a little bit. What I want to have here is about 1.5 inches of slack. There's the clip, the lock, and then there's the ring on his neck. That's what I want to have, just so that so that it's loose when he's close to me. Look at him trying to bite it. Enough. Thank you. Fast, firm, and fair. He knew right off the bat because that message went around his whole neck. That's why I like slip leads and slip collars. Good boy. So now I'm going to give you a little sneak peek on the first active session in the course. I just teach him how to navigate this. I don't want to do this in a situation where there's dogs and kids and chaos everywhere. I want to do this exercise in an area where there's no distractions. Now, there's a few distractions in here. One of them, I can't see that, but one of them being Mr. Prince over there. He's taking it all in. He's ready to jump into action. He's like a little bit disturbed that it's not about him right now. But so you can see as soon as I move, I'm just teaching Storm how to navigate this. So as soon as I move ahead, I drop the loop. I always keep it slack. And that's what the beauty of a slip lead or a slip collar, choke collar, because the dog knows how to, you see the smile here? Little smile right here. I put the loop over my thumb. I wrap my fist. Put the loop over my thumb. I wrap the fist, my fingers around the rest of the handle. Then I navigate or I manage the slack by bringing my arm that's closest to the dog down the leash to about where I can get a nice piece of like smile. Then I lock that in and I bring that slack over to my hand that's outside opposite the dog. And now I can, when I'm beginning and I'm teaching this at the beginning, I'll put my hands here so that I can have a message to the dog. You watch what happens when I turn. Some people, they teach this actually. Some people teach that when you're going to walk with the dog, you want to tell him you're going to walk with him. And how do you do that? You yank and tell him, let's go. My technique's different. Of course, it's the opposite. It's actually counterintuitive to the human's need to control everything. But here's what I do. I just drop, let's go. I tap him on the shoulder and you see how he turns and comes with me? Good boy. Oh, there we go. Good lad. This leash is a little bit long because it's really set up for that thing to go around their nose. So here we go again. Sit. Good. So if I want it, your traditional obedience class tells you pop the leash and step forward. This is important. I don't want to pop the leash because I don't want to correct the dog when he's done nothing wrong. In fact, he's done nothing. So but I do want to communicate with him. So what I'm going to do is tap him on the shoulder. How am I going to do that? I'm going to do that with the leash. That's why I have this loop here, and that gives him a choice. Do I want to pay attention to that loop? Because I've already taught him, watch when I start to back away from him, he's going to get up and move towards me. Even though he's laying down, I'm going to come parallel to his shoulders. Come on, Storm. Yes, good boy. As soon as he moves towards me, I release it. That's the lesson number 1 on how to navigate with a slip collar or even any kind of a collar, but most importantly with a slip lead, slip collar, choke collar. He wants to come towards. I know you're tired, bud. So then always the leash is loose. It's my body language that's communicating. So then he stops again. I don't care if he sits, but he's going to know when I'm ready to go. Good boy. Good boy. He's had his dinner, so he's not that hungry. But when I'm ready to go, I move my inside foot closest to the dog. I take my hand closest to the dog, and I take this loop. It's called a choice loop for a reason. I'm going to give him a choice. I drop as I step forward. I anchor here, because if he chooses not to follow me, watch what's going to happen. Light leash tightens. He's tired. But the leash tightens. Then he knows, oh, if I want to turn that off, I got to follow her. And with a proper, good quality slip lead or slip collar, everything goes loose again. So that's another little sneak peek into what you get offered in the course. And it's very repetitive. You do it over and over again, and you do work in quiet places until you've mastered it. Then the next place you go is to your backyard or your hallway. And then from there you go to the front of your house or the front of your apartment building, but not until you've mastered each and every step. All right, I've got Vina here capturing your questions. I hope I haven't missed any questions. Okay, all right. There was a question, Johnny Danger, does that answer your question? Was that helpful? Double tap on the screen if it was, just let me know. I'm just going to scroll back here because there might have been some people that have questions here that I missed. Okay, I know there was a question earlier from a person_doodle, I can't remember the first part of it, that asked about how do you manage resource guarding. So I manage it by not letting it get started in the first place, but if it's started, then you've got a problem. So, and how do you fix that problem? Well, you start to play what I call the mind game. I teach that as a systematic lesson, but that doesn't help you in the moment. If you've already got a dog that's resource guarding, I back it off. First of all, you've got to make sure that those opportunities aren't there. And then if you want to, it's not going to work with either of these guys because they're not resource guarders, but you have something that's of high value. Start with something that's of low value, like, I don't know, piece of cardboard, all right? And I'm going to drop this on the ground. I'll show you. So this is a game called the mind game. But first of all, let me just get into the detail, the finer pieces here. This is loose for some reason. Resource guarding, the first step is like any addiction. Awareness is half the battle. So if you're aware of the fact that your dog will guard certain things, and they can, what is a resource? Leaders control resources. Keep that in mind. Resource guarding gets back to leadership. Leaders control resources. What's a resource? Obvious ones: food, water, toys, bones. Those are obvious. What's not so obvious? You. If you are not a leader in your dog's eyes, in other words, he doesn't respect that you are in charge of anything, then you're his resource. He owns you. So he's going to guard you. And little guys like this guy here, who has that herding, and even Prince, who, they have that herding instinct in their nature, they're going to guard. And if they don't sense that leadership is present, they're going to guard. And what happens is you got to be aware of it. Here's a sign. If I'm petting this guy and Prince comes over and tries to push in between, he's trying to claim me and push him out of the way. I don't allow that. I simply step forward and I'll turn my back on the dog that's approached so I can continue to give affection to the other one. Then when I'm ready, and that might be 5 seconds, it's not going to be 5 hours, but it would be 5 seconds, I'll back off and I'll invite them both to come over, and I'll stand between them because I own the space. Space is a resource. People are resources. Affection is a resource. If a dog comes into me unannounced and demands that I pet him, and I pet him, I'm giving him a resource he hasn't worked for. So all of those things are basically lifestyle things. But if you've got a dog that's already a serious resource guarder, that you didn't give me a lot of detail there, I would bring a professional in, but make sure it's one that you've got referrals from, that people have used for that very issue. If you're in the Peterborough area, we can certainly help you with it, in Ontario. But or send me a DM or an email. If you're going to email me, send it to the OntarioDogTrainer@gmail.com. I've had people send me DMs, and if you're not following me, I can't read them. I can't. You can't communicate with me unless you're followers. So that's more reason to follow on Instagram. If it's already started, don't just wade in and say, hey, she told me to step in between. You got to build the dog's trust first. And I do that. I guess this is one of the reasons I don't see a lot of it, and my clients don't see it. They either come to me with it or they never see it. Is feed by hand. And you do that by taking the food bowl. I don't have a food bowl here, but you put the food bowl here, you sit in a chair, the dog moves forward, you cover it up. He backs off, you sit up. And you dip in, put your hand out. If he bangs your hand, you wait. Bangs your hand, you wait. He's got to physically move away from the bowl, even if it's a half an inch. Then you reach into his space. Then you give him the food. Don't wait for him to come back in, because remember, resource guarding, this is called the magic hand exercise. One of my students really, really refined this in a good way. If he's banging on your hand, and I start with food for a reason, if he's banging on your hand, then he's coming into your space uninvited. That's why you wait till he backs off. Then you push into his space, because you show him you can. And when you do that, it's good things. There's good things that happen. You don't correct, you don't push, you don't do anything. You just offer a reward or a gift. You come bearing good things. The reason I start with food is because they need food to survive. They know that they need food to survive. So they get nothing. If a resource guarder comes in here for boarding and training, they don't get any food from anything other than my hand. And I would suggest with your dog that's a resource guarder, you start the same way, because food is what I call an existential resource. It's something they know they need to survive. So you control all of it. Pretty soon they start to understand. Your hand goes into their face. It's friendly. Then you can do the same thing with a toy. Now, if he has a toy or something that he wants to guard, he's going, I don't back off, but I'll stand here, and I'll get down, and I'll have food, and I'll put that food in his face. He can't bite you. Why? Because he's got to get the toy out of his mouth. And as soon as he drops the toy, I don't pick up the toy. I go, yes, good dog. Then I'll step up, and I'll step between the dog and the toy, and then I own the toy. And I'll give him some more food. I'll just keep giving him food. I don't throw it on the... Some people throw it on the floor to go away from it. I don't do that. Because I want the dog to know that I can be trusted. I'm the bearer of good things, food in hand. But when you take the food from me, I'm going to take something back, but I'm not going to do it in a way that's disrespectful. I'm simply going to claim what I know is already mine and what the dog knows is already mine in that space. Okay, does that make sense? So that's where you start. Feed from hand. Dog backs off, bang, bang, bangs your hand, he backs off. Yes, and you reach into his space. That's the key part, reaching into his space for a resource guarder, because really, resource guarding is about space. They got the thing, but they have a threshold of tolerance into which they'll let you come, or they'll warn you to back off. So I don't always back off when I get what I would call a dyed-in-the-wool committed resource guarder. I'll stand though. They'll either go away from me, and then I don't pursue them. I'm okay, we'll get to that later. Eventually, then we go to feeding from hand. But the other piece of that is have a line on them, so that you're not accidentally grabbing for the collar. You have a line on them, and it can be a little short 8-foot line, 6-foot. Take a leash and cut the handle off it and put that on them. Hope that helps. Okay, next question. And also, like I say, if you want, I have some pretty good resources on resource guarding. Go into my video vault, you'll see a section in there on mind game, which is how you prevent resource guarding. And you can also send me an email, theOntarioDogTrainer@gmail.com, or a DM, and just say resource guarding, and I'll see what we can come up with for I know we have a PDF on that. All right, let's see if there's any questions here. Yes. So that was for Tartan_Doodle. I hope that was helpful. Yep. So we did. Okay, we did. Only 2 questions. So here's a question for you. So we're halfway through. We got another half hour or so to go. But here's a question for you. One of the things that we are considering for the new year, when people come on to this to this show, is instead of just me having it, basically what we have here is an open forum, question and answer. And if I don't get questions, then I start talking about things, and we put a theme to it. And right now the theme is walking your dog on leash with the different types of collars. This is my preferred collar. Actually, this one with a double ring, and the other one with a toggle on the end of it, like that. So, but my goal here is to serve your needs, to bring you what you want. And so if you would like to see these sessions more structured, in other words, in a webinar style, where in the background I have a PowerPoint and I can turn and press it and you can just read that, or we can do it in a different, on Restream or some kind of a different structure, where we can have a slideshow and refer to that. That limits the ability to have an open forum for Q&A. But if the answer to that is yes, type yes in the comments, but then also the topics that you would like to see covered in that sort of a format. We are putting together as many things, online programs, as we can. That was the whole idea behind the video vault. A lot of the content in that video vault is responses to questions that have been asked on this show. And we can continue to build on that. But what we found is it's overwhelming. There's like 40 videos in there. That's just too much. So now we're breaking them down into smaller courses. So if you want, if you don't want that as a webinar style forum on this show, put in the comments what sort of online learning or topics you would be willing to invest in, because nothing in life is free. Some of them are going to do some real short, cool mini courses coming up in the new year. Some of them will be free and some of them won't. They'll be sort of along the lines of, if you type free in the comments here today, you'll get lesson 2 of our 3-lesson mini series on leash walking. They'll all be snippets of a bigger product. And I do something called some people call them leadership resets. Some people call them behavior evaluations, training needs. I call them pack leader sessions, because it really is reestablishing leadership between you and your dog, building that connection. Every exercise I teach in that session I teach the same thing in that session every time. It's about reconnecting, a relationship rebuild. I'm going to be putting that as an online program because it's very effective, and it's stuff that no one teaches in obedience classes, and it's things that owners don't even realize that they can do and make progress with their dog. So stay tuned for that coming in the new year. Okay, we have a couple of questions here. I'm just going to grab my machine. How to get both dogs to walk together without pulling? One dog go pull. I am Gabriella. How to get both dogs to walk together without pulling? One dog pulls forward, one dog protests to stop walking and picked up. Yeah, I would. There's a couple things there. There's a lot to unpack there. What kind of dogs are they? How old are they? Who came first? It's very difficult to walk two dogs effectively unless you have them one on each side and they are on proper slip collars, not harnesses, proper slip collars. So when one dog stops, he gets corrected. When the other dog goes ahead, you stop. He gets corrected. And then you move forward. Practice in the backyard, practice in the house. There is, I haven't put together a component in the program on multi-dog walking, but I think we need to. We will have that in as one of the pieces at the end. But so you have a dog. I like to walk them one on each side because that way I'm in control of the space. I can block one or block the other, or I can simply stop, or I can bring one and grab the other one, bring them back. Many dog walkers who walk multiple dogs, in my view, don't walk them properly. They don't walk them for a nice, loose leash, comfortable stroll. They just walk them. And a lot of times the dogs are all out front. Sometimes they're behind, but that's a person that's moving it. Like you cannot, with two dogs, lollygag, for lack of a better term. You just don't lollygag and look around. You've got to move it. Like you've got to hoof it so they know. And the one dog that stopped isn't going to stop anymore. He's stopping because he can. If he's old, that's a different story. You want to make sure there's no medical issues there. Otherwise, he's just running the show. He's like, this isn't comfortable for me. I'm going to protest, so I'm going to stop. And then what do? You stop. Well, the other dog's way out in front. That's why the other dog's out in front. He's frustrated. I gotta keep going because if I don't, that guy's going to just wait. And then he gets picked up and then then you're not connected. When you pick the one dog up, you're not engaged with the other dog in a way that is productive for the other dog. So my suggestion is this. Get each dog walking perfectly on leash by itself with you. Then bring them together, but start in a very short time frame, very short distance, like 5 minutes. Good dogs, and then you go back in the house and maybe walk them one at a time or do something different with them. And then you build that walking together gradually. When we have dogs here, litter mates or housemates that come in for boarding and training, we train them separately. They don't get together until the last week that they're here. They get together, but they don't get working together until the last week that they're here. And I would suggest you do the same. You treat each dog individually. There's two benefits to that. The dog will see you, the one dog will see you as their focus instead of the other dog. And secondly, you'll get to know more about that single dog than you know right now. Because when you're walking two dogs, it's pretty hard to, what's the chief reason for failure is broken focus. It's pretty hard to be successful walking a dog in a nice heel on leash when you got two that you're trying to focus on, neither one of them walking properly. So you've got to back it off and work with one dog at a time. So if you have a 1 hour, I'm just going to throw this out there. It doesn't mean that this is a requirement, but if you have a 1 hour window, that's all you have to train your dogs, or to do something with your dog before you go to work, then you have to break that up. You break it up into two 15-minute sessions or 2 half-hour sessions or whatever it takes. Maybe 2 15-minute sessions, and then you let them out in the yard to do their potty together or whatever that is. But you do 2 working sessions so that you're dividing your time in half, so you have 100% with one dog and 100% with the second dog. And you have to do that. You're looking at 30 to 90 days doing that. And then you start to bring them together, but you don't bring them together to go for a 1 hour walk around the block. You bring them together to walk together perfectly for 5 minutes because it's quality, not quantity. So that would be how I would proceed with that, and would recommend if you find someone in your area that can help you with that. If they're small breed dogs, that's how that happens. People tend to not pay attention, and so it gets away on them, and before they know it, they've got an issue. Okay. Rue Sanchez, 28. Hello, I have 2 females. Ooh, yeah. that fight each other when my wife and I are around. Yikes. But when we're not, they're fine with each other. What can I do to stop them from fighting each other? Holy smokes. Yeah. So likely what's happening, I don't know what breed they are. I don't know how old they are. I don't know what kind of training they've had. That's what when you're posting in the comments, give me the breed, the age, the issue, and what training has happened to try to resolve the issue, or even before that, before the issue started. So what they're doing is it's probably a territorial fight. It's like you're subordinate to them. You're not a leader in their eyes. So they're battling for that. And when you're not around, they don't have to guard you. Like each one's trying to earn favor, so to speak, and put the other one below. In reality, you and your wife should be number one and they should be number two. How do you deal with that? Well, okay, if they're fighting when you're around, but they're fine when you're not around, I would start with this. A leash attached to each dog in the house at all times. And I would have that leash around my waist so that, and tied, doesn't matter what, it doesn't have to be tied perfectly. Or you can put it through a belt loop if you have a belt loop. In fact, I'm going to do that. You put it through a belt loop, or a belt, and you have each dog tied separately. One with your wife and one with you. And now I just have a flat collar on Storm, but that's okay. Then, and you just forget about them. You just forget about them. They're attached. And you make sure they don't get together. Like you're not gonna hug your wife, for example, because there's likely gonna be a fight there. But I would, when you're sitting, I'm gonna show you a little chair demo you can do at night when you're both watching TV, if you happen to do that. But now they're both in the house. What this is telling them is, remember, leaders control three things. Leaders control movement, which means if your dog's dragging you down the street, who's in charge? The dog. Leaders control space, which means if your dog's growling when you come near its food bowl, it's maybe guarding the food bowl, but there's that space thing. So who's controlling that space? Because they're getting you to back out of the space. The dog is. And now you've got resources. If it's, say, and I see this a lot, you go to hug your wife and the dog growls or tries to get in between, they're trying to control that one of them, one or both of you. So three things. So now you've got two dogs that are fighting only when you're home, which means something's going on. They're either trying to gain control of the whole territory and you're in it, or they are focusing on one or both of you because leaders avoid conflict, by the way. So and look at who's starting it. I would be kind of really zeroing in on who's the instigator here, because it could be one dog is maybe more respectful of the two of you as leaders, and the other one thinks she's got to control the whole show. Two dogs of the same gender are often more challenging than having opposites, but you've got this issue. And good for you for observing that it's only when you're there. So I'm assuming if you know that they're fine when you're not around, that means you've got a camera to tell you that? Or do they just get as far away from each other as they can? And when you're home, maybe that's not an option. So there's all of those variables. There's so many things to unpack here. But you can support Storm. He's so tired. He had a big day today. But when they're tethered to you, I've got him tied around my waist like so, and then I just walk. Come on, Storm, let's go. He's gonna come with me. Now I don't care if he gets tangled up, and I don't care. I just move because I have things to do. So you're in the house. You've got, you can see he's gonna navigate that, and you just keep them away. Prince is right here. If I walk by Prince isn't gonna do anything, but you can see that way. If these happen to be the two females, then I have a way to control. If this one tries to get in his space, I can control that by getting in front and moving that one dog away from the other. So then they start to see, and that's how they learn, they start to see that you've got their back and that you've got control of the situation. They don't need to compete. So there's a big leadership thing happening there, and it could be one dog more in charge than the other over the dog, and then also who's in charge of you. That's the dynamic that I'm looking for there. So that's how I would deal with it to start with. Take control of the space. So then the other thing I was going to show you was at night, excuse me, I'll walk out of the camera for a minute. At night when you're watching, say, television, if you do that sort of thing, or even if you happen to be sitting at the dinner table, that's a little bit close, but then let's assume this is a comfortable chair, which it isn't. I'm going to have the dogs on each one on a leash, but am I going to give them the whole length of it? No. Then I'm going to change the dynamic just a little bit. You stay on your place. Thank you. I don't know if you caught that or not, but Prince moved on the place and Storm just about came out of his skin. So now, because Prince knows something's going on here, he's thinking something good's going to happen. Then I sit down, and I've got one dog over there attached to your partner, and I've got one dog here. And I sit on the leash. TV's on, or I've got my laptop on, whatever, get off. And I just dismiss him when he tries to do that nonsense. He gets away with this likely at home. That's why he's doing it. And then you just, you just ignore them because he's trying to manipulate. And then the dog's job, now the dog has a job. Prince, place, please, go, place, go. Thank you. Now the dog has a job. And the dog's job is this. Be responsible for their own comfort. That's not my job. I'm not going to touch him. I'm not going to talk to him. I'm not even going to look at him. And that's what I suggest you do with each of your dogs. When you're home together and you've stopped moving for the night. When you are moving, she's attached to your waist. See what he just did here? Because his family has followed through on all the lessons that they've learned here. And he knows when this is happening that his only option and his best advantage is to find what makes him most comfortable and do that. He focuses on nothing else. Now, that doesn't mean that the other dog can't get up with its person and walk and do something, but he still stays here. That's called sit on the dog or settle the dog, whatever way you want to frame it. But that's what it is. That's what you've got to go right back to basics and teach those dogs who's in charge in a benevolent way in their language that they can understand. Okay? If you're just joining in, by the way, we have a real cool quiz for you to take to learn more about the dynamics and the relationship of your dog with you on leash. Just type quiz in the comments. You'll get a direct link to it. And also, if you're here again this week and you were here last week and you got lesson number 1 of our free mini course for leash walking, type in free in the comments and you'll get access to lesson number 2. And if you weren't here last week, you'll get access to both of them because they're both there. And also, we are launching our On Leash Great Stroll leash walking program next week on the 17th. Wow. Holy smokes. Yeah, I guess that's next week. And you want direct access to that for the early bird option and to get on the waiting list. It will open up on the 17th. The early bird price is $20 off, so it's only $77. And I just had a cool conversation with somebody before I came here from a lady who wants to buy the package for her friend, who is an elderly person who doesn't get out much, who has a dog that's all of a sudden decided he doesn't want to behave on leash. So it is Christmas coming, and it is an excellent, we all have lots of stuff, but this is an experience, and it's an experience that'll last a lifetime because you only pay once, you get lifetime access to the program, and including the option to be part of an exclusive community to ask questions and get answers and help, and to be part of a group coaching community once a month to ask questions and get help directly from me. So just type leash in the comments and you'll get that. Think about someone that you know that has a dog that's struggling, or that is getting a dog and you know they're going to struggle, or that's getting a dog and you just want to make sure they get the right start. Just type leash in the comments. You will get direct access to the program, but you'll also get, we are also putting together a, if you want to buy the program as a gift for someone, just type gift in the comment. Actually, send me your email, theonteriodogtrainer@gmail.com, and just type gift in the subject line, and we'll send you the instructions that you can wrap up and give to your recipient so that they can get access to the course when it's available. All right, hope that helps. Okay. Rue Sanchez 28, I hope that was enough detail for you to help get some help with your dogs. The other thing I would suggest you do is get some help. Because you've got a situation, I don't know what kind of dogs they are, but if they're fighting, that could be very dangerous. And it might only be, I don't know how old they are either, you didn't give me the age, it might only be a matter of time before they start fighting when you're not there, and you come home and find one dog's alive and the other one isn't. So I would get some help. Okay, I am Gabriella. Separation anxiety, yeah, he needs to be in a crate. When you leave the house, he cries and paws at the door for hours, I would put him in a crate. And you start that process by, there's a couple of different things to deal with separation anxiety. You got some triggers that are gearing him up, and if your first rule of leaving the house is to ignore the dog. Second rule of coming back in it. So the first rule of leaving and coming back in the house is to ignore the dog. Don't, oh, it's okay, buddy, we'll be right back. It's okay, mommy's coming back. And, hi, buddy, we're home. That's what causes separation anxiety. Number one way to cause separation anxiety is to be all over the dog emotionally before you leave and when you come back. So stop it. And the second way to deal with it is start to condition them to the triggers and make them mean nothing. And that means triggers can often be you pick your keys up off the hook on the wall, or you open up the closet door and put your coat on. What's the dog know? The next thing that happens is you're going out. And you're not coming back as far as they know. Because dogs have no sense of time. So the way to condition them, basically you counter condition them to do that, is you put your, I'm just watching Storm back there, he's having a little adventure. You put your coat on, pick up the keys, go sit down and watch TV. You just don't do anything. You just make it a non-event. And you do that over and over and over again as much times as you can think, as many times as you can think of it, and for at least 2 weeks, probably more, depending on how severe it is. And then you can do the same sort of thing. You need to find, I would also suggest, that's why crate training is so important, people. For those of you that are opposed to crates and think they're cruel, separation anxiety is more cruel. You have a dog that's in a bigger box. That's all it is. It's just a bigger crate that he can't manage. He feels threatened, and his pack has just left because he's obviously in charge of them. And there they went. They took off, and they didn't tell him. They didn't get his permission. So now he's really upset because he doesn't know what's coming next. Yeah, you may be coming back, but you have to practice that, like quick in, out, in, out, in, out. When I first got my Pomeranian, she was like that. She had been left in a room all on her own from the age of 4 months to about 7 months. So 3 consecutive months at the most formative time of her years of her life with nothing. Nothing. No enrichment, no human companionship, nothing. So when we got her, it took a while, because she had this bigger room now, and we would go out, put her in a crate. She panicked, literally panicked. Got her in the house, and what it took was, without thinking of it, because we both worked from home, in, out, in, out, in, out, in, out. Finally, now she just goes, oh, I can't go. I'm just going to go lay down. And she just goes and lays down. She will get a little adventurous, and we have to put all the food away because she can get anywhere, because she had nothing to do for 4 months of her life except figure out how to get up on top of things. And she was very good at it, and she still is. So you want to stop being emotional when you go out the door and come back in the house. No emotion. Ignore the dog. Then when the dog is calm, then you can give him affection or a treat or something. But no attention until the dog is totally calm. Number 2, condition the triggers, counter condition the triggers by putting whatever it is that sets the dog off, that gives him the information that tells the dog you're leaving the house. You repeat that. You do it over and over and over again, but don't go out. You just go sit down, or you just carry on with your business. You walk around the house with your coat on for an hour, and then you just take it off and you hang it up, and that's it. No, non-issue. And then the third thing is, you can start to set them up for short times of separation, in and out, in and out, in and out. You go out the door, come right back in. Leave the room, come right back in. Go out the front door, come in the back door, but no emotion. And the other thing you can try, but it usually doesn't work with dogs that have severe separation anxiety, is to put them in a crate and make the crate a good thing. Do all the feeding in the crate, put all their toys in the crate. When they're in the crate, walk by and drop things in it, and do the same situation. You put them in the crate, you leave the house, you come back in within 5 seconds, and eventually you start to build it out. So we have the counter conditioning, I call them fake outs. You just fake leaving. The emotional thing is just common sense. It's leadership, no emotion. Leaders are not emotional. You leave, the dog knows. Leaders hide in the wild, leaders hide their young and they go hunting and they come back, and the young don't whine and cry at the door, because that makes them vulnerable to predators. So you've got to speak the dog's language, and most of the time it's because you've been over emotional and the dog is like weak energy, weak mind, chaos. No emotion, triggers, practice counter conditioning, and practice short times in and out. And keep me posted. Let me know how it works. Okay. Okay, that's it. Okay, we're running out of time here. Post your comments below if you've got any comments. And remember, like I say, I had a conversation with a lady before I came up here that wants to buy our leash walking program for a friend for Christmas. I thought that was very cool. What a cool friend. If you're just joining in and you were here last week and you want the sneak peek lesson number 2, just type free in the comments and we will send that to you right away. And also, if you want to bypass all that and go straight to the course and get in line on the short list for the early bird special, which is $20 off the regular price. It's going to be such a cool course. We're going to keep building it. But the price that you pay now, you have lifetime access and you will get all the updates. Everything's there. It just keeps getting poured into it. We want to make sure that it's good value. And at $77 right now, it's a steal. It'll be $97 after Christmas. So you might as well save that $20 and buy yourself a Christmas present. Cool. And you know, at any time, any of you, if you have more, if you want more help or you need more information, because we can only cover so much here, I want to make sure I have everyone's questions answered. You can always go to my bio, click on the line to book a session with me. Yes, there's a fee for that, but it's like $99 or something for an hour of my time one-on-one. With the Leash program, we also have, not only do you get the online course and the downloads that are with it and the videos to watch, like everything, we meet every learning style, that visual, auditory, kinesthetic. The kinesthetic part is going to have to happen on our Facebook live group calls once a month. I can't reach out and touch you. If you live in the area, I certainly can. For those people that sign on here and come here personally, they get access to the course as part of their package. But it's intended to continue to grow, and you'll get the value for that. You just, once you're registered, unless you quit. And you can leave if you want, but it doesn't matter. It's lifetime access. Okay. So if you got something of value out of this so far, double tap the screen. Yeah, we already did that. And let me know. Okay, I'm catching up to the questions here now. Nurse Wretched like that. Yeah, okay, we've covered all of those. Yep, good. Yeah, I like what short clips of actual training sessions. Oh, yeah, Sherry, thank you for that. So here's what else is in the course, and I forgot to mention that. So in the course, well, I'll stand up and I'll do I do the talking head. This is what's in this lesson. And that's what I call talking head video, a half shot. Then I'm going to do a demo. Here's how you do it, very step by step, step 1, step 2, step 3. And then, this is, I think, my favorite part. I'm so glad you brought that up. Then I'm going to have show clips of me working with a client on that lesson. So you'll see, that you're not alone. Everyone struggles with this. If everyone knew how to do it, why would they need me? So that's what we're here for, to help. So you'll see me with different dogs, and it will be the clients, not me. There's no point in me taking it, I can either show you in here or I can show you outside. It's still me doing it. I want you to see real people with their dogs struggling in the same way that you may be having the same challenge, and watch them how they overcome it. And just to help get more another voice in your head. Yes. So there will be, and they'll be about 3 minutes long. Even if we have a long, some of them are like 10 minutes, 15 minutes. I break them up into short things. So yes, actual training. Thank you for bringing that up. That's one of the things that will set this course apart from others, because so many others don't do that. They might show you part of that as a promo, but they don't actually dig into it. I have permission from all my clients to use the lessons that we work on together in this program. And that's partly why they get access to the program, because they want to see themselves. So yeah, cool. Okay, Samantha Carrier, our 5-year-old Labradoodle still jumps on people when they enter our home. We've tried lots of different things, but nothing seems to stick. Samantha, what have you tried? I mean, lots of different things could be what? I mean, see what Prince is doing over there? I send him to place. Someone comes to the door. He's an idiot. He jumps out. He barks. He goes on, and I'll send him to place. I was trying to come in the house tonight in the kennel house with Storm, and Prince had been there loose all day, so he can be a little over exuberant and not really mean any harm, but he causes harm because he's 90 pounds and he's got a big mouth. So I could stand outside the door, and I said, you get on your place. And he turned, and I opened the door. He's still barking, but he's on his place. He's not jumping. The other thing you can do is practice. I'm going to just show you here, over here. Own the door. Do this before you have company. Set this up. The door is a resource. So he's jumping on people when they enter because that's his territory. He's claiming them. He's going, hey, welcome. Good. I'm going to just jump on you now. Here we go. But so if someone's coming in, dog is well, first of all, he should be on his place like Prince is. I don't know if you can see him in the screen. He might not. Prince, get on your place. You stay there. That's it. There we go. So you can see how close that place cot is to the door. But if someone's coming in, knock, 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 they're coming in, I'm going to set all that up. I'm going to walk around the house and knock on the door, and the dog's going to bark, 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 run to the door. I'm going to come in here. I'm going to back him off. I'm going to teach him to sit at a distance from the door. I might even back tie him so he can't move. He gets self-corrected. Find a mat. and set him up for something like that. What I've done with Storm this week, because he was a little during breakfast time or meal prep time, I put him on a place and I clip him to something. I have a grooming table there. I just clip him to the table leg, and he a couple of times he tried to get off, and he got self-corrected. It's not me. I'm not having to run back and put him back on with the leash. But you can start spatial exercises in the house right now with the dog. When he's in front of you, just step into a space. And that's called spatial pressure. In other words, you're putting pressure on him to do something, because he doesn't want you in on top of him. So that's a mental pressure, and he feels that's a quantum physics thing, and he steps off to the side, and the minute he gets out of your way, even if it's like a smidgen, you mark that with yes, like praise, yes. And then you walk through. But don't turn and pursue him, just walk through. And maybe 10 minutes later, you might do the same thing. Start looking for those opportunities to walk through his space. It's called yielding space. So then when someone comes to the door, you do the same exercise. You just walk into his space. If he tries to go, and you have to set this up. So if you live with someone, you get family to help you or something, but you might have to dance with him a little bit. And as soon as he sits, mark it yes, and you can feed him. And as a reward, so he starts to understand that this is the behavior that gets all the good stuff. Because right now he jumps on people, you're yelling at him, the people are probably going, oh, it's okay, and they're hugging him. So he's all of his reward is happening when he jumps, when he's doing the behavior you don't want. So instead, you want to acknowledge the behavior you do want, which is in my tribe training system, TRI. I is instill the behavior you want. And how do you do that? You recognize it and acknowledge it when they do it. So first thing is you walk through his space, he moves, yes, good dog. Practice that over and over and over again. Then take it to the door. So you can be the door person coming in. And you step forward, he moves out of the way, yes. Get him to sit, yes. And you start to put a mat or an elevated surface that you can send him to, go to place. And then you start to add the level of distractions, which becomes his job. No matter what the distraction, you send him to place. So that's a long process, but it's very doable. Okay, very doable. Okay, Sherry, what collar are you talking about? This collar, choke collar. Sorry. Yes, they're better than Martingale. I'm glad you asked that question too. You got some great questions tonight. Here's the Martingale, right? Looks like this. There's different styles of it, and here's why. Yeah, from a rope slip lead. Yeah, because a rope slip lead, if you got a dog that's committed to pulling, that's not going to work. So here's the difference between a choke collar. That's what this is, a choke collar. It hooks on the leash here. I'm going to put this on my arm. It hooks on the leash here. This is my fist is the dog's head, and I'm going to staff off the side of it. But the dog pulls, the collar tightens. See? Now see where it tightens? It tightens all the way around the neck evenly. Then when the dog moves towards you, it loosens off. This is the throat. Now it loosens off. I'm going to show you what happens with a Martingale. Martingale can work, but it's no different than a flat buckle collar, and often what happens is people don't fit them properly. So now I'm on here, and this collar is as small as it goes, and the dog pulls, and where's all the pressure? All the pressure is on his throat, and there's a big gap here, which is at the top of his neck. Now, if you've got a dog, what you want to have this do is like this. So the dog's head's big enough that there's still that gap, and that's where it tighten and loosen, tighten and loosen. The problem with the Martingale is it's not a whole lot different than a flat buckle collar, which I did have here a minute ago. Yep. It's not a whole lot different than a flat buckle collar, because a flat buckle collar does the same thing. When it tightens, boom, it tightens at the top of the neck, or at the throat part, not at the bottom. It's not supposed to pop out like that. You will see we're going to do a very extensive review of tools in the leash program. I think you've already signed up for it, but if you haven't, I encourage you to do that, and you'll see, and we'll go through all that in detail. Martingales can work fine if you start it early enough, and the dog doesn't have a bad habit already of running out to the end of the leash, and see where the pressure is. It's on his throat, and all the gap is at the back. Whereas the way I teach and even the choice loop system, I can go back to a Martingale once I get the dog listening to me. So with a choke collar, and these are my favorites with the little toggle on them. I sell them. You can get these I don't know where you are, where you're located, but check Amazon. Just look for Herm Sprenger, H-E-R-M, Sprenger, S-P-R-E-N-G-E-R. They are the best choke collars out there because they're smooth. They're hand forged in Germany. And so now when he's walking loose, there's a smile if this was a leash, and there's this under his throat. He pulls away. Oh, it tightens. So you have to anchor. You're going to see this in the course. You want to keep don't do this, because that's just giving him an extra couple of 3 feet of line. Anchor to your waist, and you wait. And it's a consistent message. But these are the best. So sign up for the program and you get all the details on the leash walking. We are running out of time here, folks. I really appreciate you staying and keeping more questions going. Here we go. Greeting people. Amy Perez coaching. I have a question on greeting people without jumping or barking. What's the question? Deb, I step forward, but he still jumps. You need to work on teaching him to sit. Still step into a space and hold your ground. Leaders hold their ground. I need probably way more detail than what's going on here. And if possible, get help. A private help, not a group class, because that's not going to help you. All right. Bella. Okay. Thanks, Ruth. Pit mix. Oh, yeah, mixed with Australia. Oh, my God. She's 5. Lula is a pit. She's 2. I was just going to say, Bella's the one that's attacking, isn't she? Yeah. Lula's a rescue. So Bella is attacking because Bella was there first. Bella is possibly, now you have to pay attention to what Lula's doing. Bella may possibly be disagreeing with Lula's behavior. And I had a cattle dog, that's cattle dog behavior coming through there, not pit, that's cattle dog, saying, I disagree with this energy, you need to calm down. And for us, it looks devastating. To dogs, it's just dog conversation. The problem is, Lula is a pit, she's likely going to say, nuts to you. Who do you think you are to tell me off? And go back at her. That's the problem. So what you've got to, here's my suggestion. If that's true, well, the scenario is this. When you're not home, they're calm, they can hang out together, no big deal. But when you're home, Lula, the younger one, is getting all excited and animated, and you maybe respond to that, and Bella says, I've had enough of you. Would that be fair? Is that a fair assessment? And maybe there's little triggers or little subtle things that you might be missing. And if that's true, what you need to do then is when Bella gets all excited, just, hey, enough. Step between them, calm the energy, and then pet them both. Or, pay attention to both of them. Because you want your energy to influence the dog's energy. Calm creates calm. Chaos creates chaos. So if they get excited and you start to, it's easy, you anticipate this is coming, so you start to yell at one of them, boom, that's going to set them off. And it's difficult when they're in it to stay calm, but you've got to be more or less what I call calm assertive and get in there and break it up. But I would pay attention to the energy that's going on in the room when the fight happens. There's a good chance that the older one is just because of that breed mix. My cattle dog was notorious for that. I had to not walk on pins and needles, but man, and even sometimes I'd miss it because she wouldn't give any warning. Like, I'm on you. I can't stand that energy. Cut it out. And that's really all it was. But the problem was the other dog often fought back. So then you have a dog that's going to fight. You behave. So that's I think what's going on. Yeah. Bella's, so that's it's really, it's dog to dog scenario. It just happens to be disagreeable to watch. And I wouldn't let it play out on its own either. I would interrupt so they see that you've got this. But it starts by monitoring the energy in the room. All right. I hope that helps. Okay, one more. Oh, Sanel Couture, a 5-year-old giant schnauzer, 75 pounds, trying to get him in the habit of daily brushing his teeth. Turns his head. I'd give him treats. Any other ideas? Yeah, hire a dental person to do it. We have them here. Honestly, here's why I say that. I don't mean to make a joke of it. He's turning his head. You could make the toothpaste flavored and then get it in his mouth and move it around. That's kind of one way to do it. There's not a lot of scientific proof that shows that brushing their teeth works, to be honest with you. That's why I don't do it. I give them a marrow bone to chew on. The other thing is kind of like grooming. If you got a dog that doesn't like to be groomed, I pay a groomer to do that. Why? Because I want the groomer to compromise their relationship with them. I don't want to compromise my relationship, because the R in my tribe training system is about relationship first. And everything that you do either builds your relationship or takes away from it. And if he's turning his head, you're compromising your relationship. So don't if you have there's mobile. We have one here. One of my gal used to work for me. A mobile dental cleaner thing. It's pretty cheap actually. They'll come to your house and do it. I'd let them do it. But you can also get better flavored. Hey, you. So there's what's going on right here. I know you can't see this, but Prince is there. Storm is circling around me, and Prince doesn't like it. And Prince is the leader. The leaders avoid conflict, but he can only take so much of that guy. See where he's standing now? I'm going to put him back on place, and then I'll get back to your question. Prince, and I'm going to stand between Storm's there. Prince, go to place. Come on, here. Stay. And if Storm continues his circling around me, in fact, I'm going to prevent it right now by putting him back on leash. That way, he stops moving because Prince doesn't like the energy, and that's what's happening with your pits. Rue Sanchez, I was talking to. Let me back up here. Yeah, the giant schnauzer. So, everything is about relationship building. And if he's 5, how long have you had him since he was a puppy? And he's still turning his head. And so what you see, you pet him and give him treats. Here's what he's saying. Well, when she comes to me with the toothbrush and I turn my head, she pets me and gives me treats. So I wouldn't pet, if he's going to turn his head, I wouldn't pet him, and I certainly wouldn't give him treats. That's not the behavior you want. Remember what we said, if you were here earlier, what we talked about was the I in my tribe training system is you want to instill the behavior you want, and the way to do that is to recognize it when it happens. Because dogs are going to, there's something called a reinforcement zone. And the reinforcement zone is where the dog gets the reward at that moment. And he processes what he was doing at the time and where he was. And what your dog is saying is, when I turn my head, I'm getting rewarded. So try this. Wait till he turns back. Put your hand under his chin and just go, and then take the toothbrush out, then feed him and pet him. Because you are rewarding the wrong behavior. Does that make sense? So, and then again, he's probably going to try to pull away. You pull away, and you keep his chin there, and then you stop. Just keep his chin there and keep the toothbrush there. Good dog. Then stop, give him the treat. And don't do it for longer than maybe 15 seconds, maybe 30 seconds, and then just add a few seconds each time. But reward the behavior you want, not the behavior you don't want. That's what's happening there. All right, folks, I'm just going to do a quick look here. Everybody's getting restless, and I know, thank you for your patience and for sticking around. I'm thinking that the, okay, oh yeah. So Amy Perez Coaching. So thank you. I'm glad to know that I did answer your question. If you need more help, I do have something called the Coaching Hub. So you can sign on to a personal coaching program with me for 3 months, 6 months, whatever you want. And it's basically unlimited access Monday through Friday, through a Voxer system, but it's also Zoom calls, two calls a month or whatever you need. I find people need them more at the beginning, so I don't track them that much, but it's because you obviously, unless you're in Peterborough in Ontario, we can't meet face to face, but you can work with me. I have something called the Coaching Hub, and it's for pet dog owners to get the help that you need instantly, rather than just waiting for Instagram Live and sharing your question with 100 other people. So that's something, if you want to consider that, send me the Ontario Dog Trainer at gmail.com and put the Coaching Hub in the subject line, and I'll send you all the info on it. Okay. Let me see, make sure I got everything else. Okay, I think so. Yep. All right, folks, I want to thank you all very much for joining. And remember, if you want to know more about your relationship on leash with your dog and have a fun time doing it, type quiz in the comments. You'll get a link to our free quiz. That'll also take you to the course if you decide you want to sign up for the leash course. If you want to pass all that and go directly to the online leash walking course called The Great Stroll that will be launched live. It'll go live. We're building it now, based on a lot of the material we're getting here, but we're building it live. It will go live on Wednesday, December the 17th, but I highly recommend you jump on the waiting list now and get the early bird special at $20 off, so it's only $77. And if you were here, it'll be $97 after Christmas. If you were here last week and you accessed the mini lesson, the sneak peek into the course, lesson 1, this week we've launched lesson 2, sneak peek. It's not the whole thing, it's not all the details, it's just a sneak peek. And type free in the comments and you'll get access to lesson 2. And if you missed last week, you'll also get access to lesson 1. All right. And, you're welcome, Rue Sanchez. Thank you. So I look forward to seeing all of you again right here next week. Today's the 10th. So next week, next Tuesday, the 17th, that's when we're launching the course. We're going to be, you're going to be the first we're going to celebrate the launch right here on Instagram Live at 5. And that will be our last live session until the new year. We will not be meeting on Christmas Eve, sorry. And we will not be meeting on New Year's Eve. Double sorry for that one too. So next week, please, I hope you'll find time to join us, and we'll wish everybody happy holidays, and then we'll get together in 2025. But next week we'll have lesson 3. So be sure to come back. We'll see you then. Thanks everybody for joining in, and have yourself a safe and happy week. If you're in an area where you have winter, stay safe. Remember, quiz, leash, free for fun way to figure out what your relationship is with your dog. Leash if you want to go directly to register for the waitlist for the online course, and free to get a sneak peek. We'll see you next week.